Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, a channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and this is a overview, not as brief as usual overview of Marvel Crisis Protocol, this new core box. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about the game system in general, so I'm going to be talking about this product specifically, but also about the line itself, since this probably isn't going to be the only item you would buy for this game, although it is a standalone product. If you'd like to see my thoughts on this Marvel Crisis Protocol, you can click the link here or down below. So firstly, just a couple of quick notes. In order to illustrate the gameplay and stuff, I'm going to be showing you some miniatures that are not in this box, because in order to get this out in a timely manner, I couldn't assemble and get all these miniatures painted, etc. Another note I will say is that I use clear bases on my miniatures. That's just a personal choice. That's not included in the game system. Okay, so firstly, this is a miniatures game. If you got into this game and you get this core box, that means that all of the models have to be cut out, assembled, glued, and then more than likely, because they look really exciting and really amazing, you'll probably want to paint them. So if you don't want to have that hobby aspect to a game, then this probably isn't the game line for you. Now, secondly, this is a living game, meaning that, of course, this is a standalone product, which incidentally has been put out for the 4-year anniversary of Atomic Mass Games, both for their company themselves and their, what was their flagship and only game for a while, Marvel Crisis Protocol. So this game has roughly a release a month, so it's continuing to add new characters and things, which flesh out different factions and add other characters that you can add into your gameplay. Yes, you could definitely play this all by itself without ever buying anything else. However, it's probably unlikely that you would make that investment. Now, along with this, being a living game, there are consistent erratas, there's updates to the rules, there's new rules coming out, there's adjustment to the character cards. So, if you want to play on your kitchen table, you could just play with this forever and not pay any attention to that stuff at all. However, if you want to play tournament style and you want to go to shops and play with other players, you're likely going to have to keep at least somewhat abreast of those changes and those things that are happening in this living game. Now, if you find that you want to live in the world somewhere between these two things, you want to just play with this basically, and you don't want to get too involved, it is pretty easy just to add, it's exceedingly easy actually, just to add 1 or 2 character packs of a faction, or if there's some special character that you really love, or there's a faction you want to flesh out a little more, and I'll get into that in a bit. So it's very easy to add characters to this, whether you do that immediately or down the road, so you don't have to dive too far into it. I just wanted to mention that, that it is a pretty big game in terms of how many characters and things. Now, I know I framed that a little bit in a negative light, maybe, where I'm saying like you should beware of those things, but to me, it's very exciting. It's very exciting to know that, like, on a somewhat regular basis, new characters are going to come out, whether those are like very well-known characters or deeper cuts, in the Marvel universe. And I should mention that too. This is a game that is in the Marvel universe. So if you're interested in that intellectual property, whether you're a lifelong comics collector like me, or whether you just love the MCU films, or whether you don't care about the theme, you just care about the mechanisms in the game, well, that's all there, right? So like, it is very exciting to have a monthly release schedule, or maybe not always monthly, but there's a significant amount of packs that come out over the year, and it's exciting to look forward to those and to see those. Like I say, they have some very prominent characters, and then they have some characters that are very exciting and not well known, but they're exciting for us comic fans. So there's a little bit of turn zero that comes into this game, a little bit of work that has to be done before you get the game to the table. And I don't just mean the hobbying aspect, but the actual gameplay. What you'll do is you'll select a roster of 10 characters and 10 tactics cards. And I'll get into what those mean a little bit more in a few moments here. But this box comes with 11 characters. So you could roughly just split them and play 5-on-5 if you were just going to play with this box set, and you've got the Winter Soldier to sort of, you could split him down the middle, I guess. And it's roughly, heroes and villains, and you can do it that way, or you can do it in a number of different ways, which I'll kind of get into a little more. Characters will vary in their size, abilities, and their power level. And points are assigned to each unit to keep matches even. For instance, the Hulk costs as much to field in your match as Hawkeye and Storm. Each character also has a 2-sided card with all their stats and abilities. More on that soon. Each game will revolve around 2 specially selected crises. These are the goals with which players will compete for over the course of the game. When one player reaches 20 points, they win, or the player with the most points after 7 rounds. The crises come in 2 types. One, called Secures, involves competing over fixed points on the map, similar to King of the Hill. The other, called Extracts, will revolve around held items that can be moved around the board, similar to Capture the Flag. These crises and their special rules are inspired by comic book moments and storylines. So after picking your 2 crises, players will spend points to assemble their team, and after a couple other rules, they will pick a leader amongst those characters and a faction. This box contains a number of leaders and factions. So for instance, you might pick Captain America and the Avengers, or you might pick Red Skull and Hydra. And each leader is going to have a different ability and set of rules that will impact your whole team. Finally, you're ready to play. Now, all games are going to be played on a 3x3 grid. Each round, a player will activate a character, and when that character finishes their activation, your opponent will activate a character and finish their activation. Then, when all characters who are not dazed or knocked out have finished their activations, the round will end. On a character's turn, they can move using range rulers, attack other characters using range rulers. When attacking, dice are rolled to attack and dice are rolled to defend. The dice are 8-sided and include hits, blocks, fails, successes that activate special abilities, and critical results, which act as successes, allowing you to roll more dice. The kinds of attacks and their special rules are included on each individual character card. The attacks and abilities are all very different, from close-up punches to laser blasts from far away, area effect explosions, and many, many more. Some of these attacks will cause special status conditions which affect the afflicted character, like being poisoned or bleeding or being hexed, and more. Status conditions can cause you to lose health, lose power, lose actions, and so on. If a character takes enough damage, they will be dazed. Next round, you will flip their card and they will now be injured. The next time they take enough damage, they will be knocked out of the game. Superpowers are unique abilities that all characters in the game have, and they're one of the most exciting parts of the game. Whether that means Spider-Man using his webs to pull a character off of a point that he might score on, or whether that means Blade walking up and healing from all the characters that are bleeding around him because he's drinking their blood, or Punisher detonating a bunch of explosives that he may have placed on the board, or Ant-Man transforming from regular form to tiny form. Also, characters who can fly like Captain Marvel or Iron Man, or can wall crawl like Daredevil or Dr. Octopus, can more easily traverse the board over the terrain and things like that. Terrain plays a large part in the game. It blocks line of sight, impedes movement, and in one of the most interesting and unique parts of the game, can be thrown and destroyed. That's right, Hulk can lob a card at an enemy, Green Goblin can explode a building with his pumpkin bombs, or characters can be knocked into and destroy other features. Characters can even throw each other for damage or to move a character for a strategic reason. And lastly, players can play tactics cards. You can play tactics cards. You start with these at the beginning of the game, and you can see your opponents, so there are no nasty and annoying surprises. These represent powerful one-time effects, and can be anything from a medpack to heal, more dice to attack, Iron Man ricocheting his blast off Cap's shield, or Ghost Rider taking a new host by removing another one of your models from the game and setting them to full health and incinerating everyone near him. A lot of theme, a lot of love for the characters and IP. Then players will take turns activating characters who can move around the board, attack, steal objectives, throw terrain, throw characters, and just try to score points. Then whoever reaches 20 points first, or enough time has passed the player with the most points, will win the game. Included, you get Crossbones, Red Skull with a Cabal leadership. You get Nemo with a Hydra leadership, Doc Ock Sinister Six leadership, Ultron with some grunts, which is highlights the grunts, Captain America with Avengers leadership, Black Widow, Iron Man with a Shield leadership, Spider-Man, and then Captain Marvel, who can transform. She has 2 different forms to highlight that mechanism in the game. And then, of course, rounding it all out, Winter Soldier. In the box, you'll get the rulebook, of course, which has a lot of information therein. You'll get the round tracker and score tracker. You'll get the crisis cards, a bunch of these to choose from. You'll get a number of tactics cards, which can be used with various characters. You'll get sprues for the characters, which we can see here on the screen. Then you can see, you'll also get a couple of these cars, which are throwable terrain. You'll get a couple of these cool little bulldozers, some traffic signals, a couple of dumpsters you can lob at your buddies, Roxxon destroyed gas station, and some barrels and jersey barriers. Well, hopefully that helped you to decide whether or not you want to take the dive into trying Marvel Crisis Protocol. I would completely suggest to you that if you are interested in trying this, that you seek out maybe a couple other character packs of characters that you have a strong affinity for or interest in, or if there's a faction that you want to flesh out a little more, that can really help your investment in the game. Now, if you want to hear my thoughts about the game, more of a review, please do click on the link below. But now I've got to roll.